Hey everybody, welcome back to Gray Area. My name's Alex, and today we have Mary Droppinz in the house. How are you
What's up?
doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. First of all, thanks for taking the time out to speak to us. I always like to start off by asking about an artist's musical background and like what they were listening to when they were a child and how their parents had an impact on them as a musician. And I understand your dad was a drummer and you also played the piano. What other musical influences did you have in the house growing up?
Yes, so thanks for having me as well. And I really listened to a lot of like emo and hardcore music growing up, actually. All the kids at school were like, you listen to weird music. So that was kind of where it like all began. And I was definitely influenced a lot by my dad. Like on the way to school, he would be playing Pink Floyd or The Doors. And so I grew up, really listening to a lot of old school as well. And um he wasn't a professional drummer. He would just do it after work every day, like come
Mhm.
home and just go down, just start drumming. So I was just used to the flow of like having like a little like music practice at the end of the day. And so that's just kind of like where it all began.
You mentioned like you were an emo kid. I find this weird cross section of kids that were super into emo and also ended up in dance music. And I'm kind of curious to wonder, why do you think that is?
I think it's because that style of music, it like takes you away. You can like escape reality for a bit, and it is headbanging, and it is like like it just takes you out of your body in a sense, and it's emotional and passionate, and it's a very like dedicated fan base. So it makes sense. Like I definitely I see it now for sure.
Now saying that, does make a lot of sense to me too. Um, you didn't really like discover dance music until you moved here from Nebraska, right?
Yeah.
Um, what what brought you first of all, what brought you here from Nebraska?
I moved out here. I was in a relationship, a long-term committed relationship. And so this was where my ex was from. And so I came out here. We moved out here because was in Nebraska for college. And so we were college sweethearts and came out here. And then he brought me to one of my first like little underground shows. It was at Le Cave, this a steakhouse in Orange County. And I was just like, it just everything clicked. I was like, what the heck? Like, there's this kind of music. This is what I've been looking for. I had no idea. So, and then fast forward, I went to like Coachella every year and Desert Hearts and started going to festivals. And that's when it was just like, this is what I want to do for my life.
How did you like find your own community within dance music? Because it's such like, I feel like when you first get in, there's just like so many things happening. There's festivals and there's undergrounds and there's like club events. How do you feel like you honed in on on your people within the community?
I would say it did start at my job. So originally I was, a 9 to 5er. I was working in advertising and marketing, and the advertising kids, they like to party as well. So when I first started, telling everyone that I'm DJing at home, a few of the creatives in the building like caught wind, and they like came up and they're like sending some music, and they're like, yeah, I DJ too. And so that's just kind of like where it all began with this like work community, like with coworkers. And then went to a couple other shows, start meeting more people. And then ultimately, I was sitting there at my job and just feeling so unfulfilled. I'm like, I'm tired of advertising products I don't use, things that I'm not passionate about. What can I do with the skill set that I have to get more integrated into music? And at the time, I had been when I first started DJing, I learned on Tractor for Native Instruments.
Right.
And I was like, well, I use my Tractor every day. Maybe there's something on Native Instruments. And, magically synced up that there was something I was qualified for and got the job there. And that's really ultimately what helped me build my community within the music industry, running parties at NAM and just getting my face out there and meeting a lot of other people that are in the community.
It takes a lot of courage to kind of like ditch the thing the safety of the thing that you're doing to
Mhm.
go for something in the arts. Where do you think that courage comes from?
I I always live by like think like a child, you know. I like to keep that just like inner child in me of just like having no fear, just being courageous and you know, having faith. I have a lot of faith in just trusting that it's going to work out and going for it, and it usually does. Like it's just taking that one leap that of faith there, and then it works out, and if it doesn't work out how you expected, it works out in another beautiful way.
Beautifully said. That's something I hear a lot from lots of artists, and it's just super fascinating because I mean I'm sure as you understand, all of us who work in the music industry and actually get paid for it are super blessed to collect a paycheck at all from doing this thing that we love to do.
Yeah.
So it's always fascinating to hear like how people figured out that that was the thing that they wanted to do and just kind of went for it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I ended up quitting my full-time day job and everything um like right before the pandemic actually hit. So it was I was like, "Oh man, like did I what did I do?" Like the one like because I'm always, you know, taking leaps of faith and having no fear, and then that hit. But it's just about, you know, like you just make it work and you figure it out. And that's when I got into streaming, and really that's what, you know, helped my career get on the trajectory that it is.
Absolutely. Well, let's talk about that for a moment too, because you'd already been DJing for a while before that.
Mhm.
And you'd had quite a few wins already. You were doing pretty well in LA, but the pandemic, as terrible as it was in so many aspects, it was like a huge period of growth and opportunity for you. Um, how did you attack that at the beginning? Like you just quit your job. What was your plan at the beginning? Like before that happened, you had just quit your job. What were you planning on doing?
I had just been, you know, getting a lot more bookings coming my way. I was feeling a little overwhelmed, like managing that on my own. So I was like, now I can just really shift gears and manage my bookings, like actually reach out to people and try to place myself in certain situations that I want to be in.
Yeah.
And so I was like, and I had, you know, I had a salary job before, so I had saved up enough to be able to support myself for the next like 6 months. And so I was like, I'm going to do this. I'm going all in, you know? And so that was the game plan. But then that all the shows that I had booked all canceled and everything shut down. And at first, you know, I felt like you know, a bit depressed about it and like, I don't know what's going to happen. Why did I make this decision? Now I don't have steady income. I have to get on unemployment. I got to figure something out. And um, that really just it freaked me out at first, but then it fueled me, and I realized, you know, why am I doing this? I'm doing this to give love and to help heal people through music and just to share my passion with everybody and make people smile. And so I was like, how can I do that in these times that are like so shitty right now? And so
Yeah.
I've discovered that everyone was like on Twitch, and I was like, okay, like this is cool. I mean, I could just do it on Instagram or YouTube, but there's just something about Twitch that like really had a community aspect to it. And you know, it's like a little quirky, and you can have like little cute emotes, and you can redeem certain points and do funny things like drink, you know, drink water or do some sort of like jumping jack thing or whatever. And so
Right.
I was like, this is totally in line with my brand. So I'm gonna hop on this. And it was like rapid fire from there. I like, it made me feel so much better every day. Like when you're just stuck inside and can't do anything, I was able to go on there and connect with people. And a lot of people were like, how are you able to even connect? You can't see them. And I'm like, but we grew up in a digital age. Like, I
Yeah.
know when you are, you know, being passive aggressive when texting me. Like, you know, like I can tell the vibe that I'm putting out and what they're feeling by their messages on chat. And so I just really honed in on that. And I, you know, going out now in the real world and like DJing again, It's been super rewarding running into a lot of the community that I had built online, and them saying, like, you saved me during 2020. Like, I had nothing to do and nothing to look forward to, but every day, like, you came on and you brought vibes and music and the energy. And it just, you just got to make what you can out of it, and always remember what your intentions are with doing this. So that's what gave me the fuel to get through that.
What did it do for you personally? Because you've talked about how it helped people in the community, but how did it help you to have that outlet throughout the pandemic? Not just professionally, but just for your own personal well-being.
It gave me confidence because I actually then started releasing music. I was, prior to that, I probably wouldn't have released music for another like 5 years until I really felt like I was worthy of being a producer, because I had just went to school for a couple years at IO Academy. And
Right.
I felt like I was on the path, but I'm not anyone to say like the best producer. And I felt confident, and I didn't want, and I'm about quality over quantity. So I'm like, I'm not going to just like start releasing everything on SoundCloud. And but this, when I actually met these people online, and they were really feeling my music, it gave me the confidence to just play these tracks that I had been making online, and then getting their response from that just fueled me even more. And I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing, like just keep pushing it. And it helped me really find my sound too, because being in LA, the sound here that's more popular in the electronic space is tech house. And
Right.
I was playing tech house, I was playing techno. And when the pandemic hit, I felt like nothing sounded good anymore. And I was like, why do I just feel this way? And then I, was browsing around on SoundCloud and came across breakbeat and electro. And I was like, oh my gosh, just lit a fire under me. And I started DJing that on Twitch. So that was like, that's what it did for me, is it helped me be able to play what I want to play and put out what I want to put out without having to, cater to the venue or the promoter or the crowd. So I just created it on, I just built what I wanted to build. So
I gotta say, like, one of the last things I ever imagined would happen in during the pandemic was the reemergence of breaks. I was like a breaks producer for 10 years. Um,
amazing.
and like have followed like the trajectory of the genre forever. And like it makes me feel so good to see people like feeling it again, because it was a really long time where you would drop a breaks track on the dance floor and people would be confused. And now people aren't, but I feel like the pandemic helped kind of usher in this new era of like DJs can do whatever they want again. And producers can do whatever they want again, because they spent the entire pandemic playing whatever they want. And because there was no dance floors, people were just like, I'm just going to go ahead and feel this.
Yeah, and we were
Yeah,
able to educate people as well. Like, they're just going to the same clubs, and the DJs are playing the same vibe that they think works for that space. And this now was able to be like, no, like, here's some other sounds. Like, what do you think about this? And I think it just helped increase like like knowledge of music for fans as well. So,
I love it. I love it. Um, I want to talk about Desert Hearts for a second, because it was like you've talked about how it's always been like one of your favorite brands, and you ended up working for them.
Mhm.
How did that happen?
So it was actually when I had just put in my resignation letter at Native Instruments. At that time, this was about 9 months before the pandemic. At that time, I was going to, just full-time DJ as well. And then Desert Hearts, like literally the week before my last day, came to me and they're like, we're looking for a marketing director. We've gotten some references about you and heard some good things. Are you interested? And I'm like, what? Like, of course. Like, I've been going to Desert Hearts for the past like 6 years. I went by myself one time. Like, this to me was like, of course, like I'll go back in and just keep working,
Yeah,
and so I started with them, and that was my last job before the pandemic hit. And it was a really great experience. I got to see what it looks like when you advance artists and have an agent, what it looks like to throw a festival and to do all the marketing behind that and plan all of that, and then social media for different artists, what type of stuff that they need to be putting out for their fans. And so that helped me, also learn individually, like what it takes to when you get to that level. Um, just overall getting to connect with them was really great. And they, during the pandemic, they had me host a bunch of shows on Twitch for them as well. And it was just cool. Like we've been ever since, just, vibing with each other. Obviously I'm full-time artist now, but they've been super supportive of me, and especially as a woman, they've really like given me the opportunity to, on Twitch, I've had a bunch of lineups where I only booked a bunch of my girlfriends that were DJing that's never had those opportunities. And I'm glad that we had that platform to do that, because it actually helped a lot of those women get on the path of their career right after the pandemic, kind of, like when we started being able to DJ again out. So it was a lot of magic with them, and I'm looking forward to just, collaborating more often, and hopefully releasing tracks on the label someday.
I love that. You talked about being able to like curate your own lineups during the pandemic and helping give a platform for underrepresented groups. Do you think that's something that you'll carry forward now that like regular gigs are back? Like, do you see yourself being able to be an avenue for other people to get their start and for you to be able to support other folks in their careers?
Yeah, that's a part of my mission in doing this. I've received amazing support from other great artists like LPGOB and Sophie Tucker. And what that's done for me and my confidence, I can only give that back, and that's the way it should be. That's how other artists should be, with the new age coming through. And and give recognition for those artists helping bring you up and stuff. I think that that's super important. So I'm gonna keep doing that. I'm one of the teachers at Femme House as well, so I'm integrating more with them, and I'll be teaching a DJ course starting in January. And there's obviously main big goals of doing like a Femme House festival one day. And if I had the opportunity to curate stages, I absolutely would take it and put on everybody that I can that's truly crushing it, and then give them, the opportunity to shine that maybe they wouldn't have that, because it's tough to get out there. It really is. Like
Yeah.
maybe like 5% get lucky or in their way. But um yeah, so any way I can help and do that, it makes me happy to do it.
Yeah, I love to hear that. Femhouse is like a really close friend of Gray Area, and LP is like one of my favorite people in the world. Um,
Yes.
she's just absolutely amazing, and I love what she's doing. And actually, had it not been for LP, I don't think I've ever would have discovered you because I saw your name first on a live stream that it was a raid thing that happened every Wednesday
Yeah, the
that
Femme
Gold
House
Block was
raid.
running.
Oh,
Um,
Gold Block, yes, that
yeah,
one
those are like
too.
homies of mine too. So
Oh,
I gotta think like that community that existed around LP and around Sophie Tucker is just so special. And I gotta like, shout that out. And happy that you were able to like be a part of that.
yeah, it was awesome. And that's the goal, is just to keep that going, pass the torch, help other artists out. Like I feel like that keeps the scene healthy in music. Like because there's always like dark sides to industries and stuff,
Yeah.
and this I think is the truth. And so I absolutely love LP, and I'm so glad that that's how you found me.
So we're getting close to the end. So I have one more question before we get into the speed rounds. And I always end on this question. What excites you about the future of dance music?
uh I would say that the DJs are gonna start shining more. I mean, there are a lot of DJs that are really trying to hone in on production, and a lot of these headliners that are out in the space getting these spots on main stage are producers first. So
Mm,
I'm thinking that that's what excites me, is that the real DJs are going to come through and get opportunities, because it you do have to release music to get noticed and to get a lot of these bookings. at festivals and at big parties and stuff. So I'm really excited to see the DJs come out.
I love to hear that. DJing and producing, while they seem to be intermarried, are such specific skill sets.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of DJs that get overlooked because they don't necessarily produce music.
Yeah.
But there's an art form to DJing, there's an art form to rocking a party and like really to leading people on a journey.
Mhm.
And I love the idea that our community is going back to its roots in a way.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, seeing a lot more women coming out
Yeah.
and killing it and getting the spotlight. And I'm just excited to see where this all goes. And I have only nothing but hope for it.
I love it. I love that positivity. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do the speed round now.
Okay.
You haven't been coached on any of these questions. You have no idea what I'm gonna ask you.
Okay.
So here we go. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go. Intimate club or festival?
Festival.
Festival or rave?
Rave.
Snow or beach?
Beach.
Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
A walk in the wood or a dip in the ocean?
Dip in the ocean.
Would you rather only be able to whisper or only be able to shout?
Whisper.
808 or 909?
909.
Drum and bass or hip hop?
Ooh. That's drum and bass, I guess.
All right, Biggie or Tupac?
uh Tupac.
Least favorite condiment?
Ketchup, absolutely.
Why? I already knew this, but why? I have to understand.
I was born this way.
So no ketchup ever.
No ketchup. Anything but ketchup is my, when people ask, do you have anything or do you want anything? Anything but ketchup. That's it.
Breaks or house?
Breaks.
Analog or digital?
Ooh.
Mm,
Digital.
all right.
Go digital.
Vegas or Miami?
Miami.
Chris Lake or Carl Cox?
Carl Cox.
Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Pizza or sandwiches?
Sandwich.
Wine or beer?
Wine.
Favorite color?
Purple.
Would you rather be forced to sing along or dance to every single song you hear for the rest of your life?
Dance.
And last question, finish this sentence. Before I die, I want to.
Before I die, I want to have caviar in a private plane.
That is such a great answer. I love that. Thank you so much for taking the time out to speak to me today. It's been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I like the rapid fire. That's fun.
It's fun, right? Yeah, I love
Yeah,
doing that. I get the most insane answers all the time. And
it's like a rush. I'm like ready to go. I'm like, ask me more.
maybe I should extend that portion.
Yeah. No,
Well,
it's cool.
thank you again so much. It's been such a pleasure speaking with you.
Yeah, you as well. I'm looking forward to connecting further and thanks again.
Absolutely.